Hi readers, welcome back. It's Kim, the lifelong reader. Today I'm bringing you something kind of different. You know I've been working on my 2026 reading plans, and on my shelves I have 4 female writers, multiple books by each of them that I've not yet read at all. So I thought it might be really fun for me to ask you guys for your input on which of these books I should pick up first by these authors. I'm splitting these 4 writers into 2 groups of 2, so I don't give you a very long video to watch. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of the books that I have here at my house. And I'm hoping that you'll chime in and let me know if you've read the books, what you thought of them, and which one you think I should pick up first. The first author that I want to talk to you about is Jane Smiley, and I have 3 works from Jane Smiley here at the house. This is probably what's considered her most popular. It is 1,000 Acres. This was published way back in 1992, and it did win the Pulitzer Prize for fiction. So regardless of what you all say, this will be on my long-range TBR because I am reading my way through the Pulitzer winners for fiction. So in this novel, we are following a very successful Iowan farmer and his 3 daughters. And the gentleman is at the time of life where he is putting together his will. And he's decided that he's going to split his property between his 3 daughters, and his youngest daughter disagrees with how things are being split. And because of that, the farmer takes her out of the will completely, which is an event that causes a catastrophic kind of chain reaction within the family. This is said, it is a retelling of Shakespeare's King Lear. So I'll be honest with you, I have probably read King Lear sometime in my past, but I don't remember the premise of that. So I may brush up on that before I read this book, just for fun. But that is what this book is about. So this is one of my options for the first one to pick up. Now, it's kind of chunky. So it's a little intimidating because this is a paperback and it feels kind of chunky, but this is option number 1. Option number 2 is her follow-up called Moo, and this is supposed to be a funny novel. So I'm going to read to you from the back here. It says, nestled in the heart of the Midwest, amid cow pastures and waving fields of grain, lies Moo University, a distinguished institution devoted to the art and science of agriculture. Here, among an atmosphere rife with devious plots, mischievous intrigue, lusty liaisons, and academic one-upsmanship, Chairman X of the Horticultural Department harbors a secret fantasy to kill the dean. Mrs. Walker, the provost's right hand and campus information queen, knows where all the bodies are buried. Timothy Monahan, associate professor of English, advocates eavesdropping for his creative writing assignments. And Bob Carlson, a sophomore, feeds and maintains his only friend, a hog named Earl Butts. In this wonderfully written and masterfully plotted novel, Smiley offers us a wickedly funny comedy that is also a darkly poignant slice of life. I haven't read a fictional tale in an academic setting since I think The Secret History, and that was totally, the premise was completely different than this. So let me know what you think, because this is another strong option for my first Smiley pickup. And then my last one that I have here from her is a novella and 2 short stories. And this collection is called The Age of Grief. So the first short story is called In the Pleasure of Her Company. And it tells us about a lonely single woman who befriends the married couple next door, hoping to learn the secret of their happiness. In another story called Long Distance, a man finds himself relieved of the obligation to continue an affair that is no longer compelling him, only to be waylaid by the guilt he feels at his escape. And in the title novella, a dentist, aware that his wife has fallen in love with someone else, must comfort her when she is spurned, while maintaining the secret of his own complicated sorrow. Beautifully written with a wry intelligence and a lively comic touch, The Age of Grief captures moments of great intimacy with grace, clarity, and indelible emotional power. So all 3 of those stories sound pretty good. This is pretty slender, but this is short stories. So I'm not sure what everybody would recommend, but this is definitely an option. So let me know, you guys, what you think. 1,000 Acres, Moo, or The Age of Grief. If you've read them, if you hated them or loved them, I'm curious. And then the next writer is, I think, someone who has not been writing as long as Jane Smiley, but she's been writing a decent amount of time, at least 15 years that I know of, and that is Jojo Moyes. And I recently got very curious about Jojo Moyes because I think on one of the other socials, probably Facebook, they keep offering me a masterclass on writing, and they have some B-roll on that advertisement with Jojo Moyes that is really alluring. The things she says about the writing process and her writing process in general really draw me in. And just seeing her sitting at, her computer, and it's just really, really, as a reader who has fantasies of being a writer or would be fantasies of being a writer, it's extremely enticing. So Me Before You is her 2012 release, and this follows a young girl named Louisa Clark. She is a small town girl. She's led a very small life as far as not really traveling out of her hometown a lot, and she needs a job. So she takes a job as a caregiver for someone who is probably just a little bit older than her. He's very type A. His name is Will Trainer, and he has led a very exciting life, challenging himself physically. And during one of these challenges, he is injured and becomes wheelchair bound. And she sort of has to break through his crusty outside to get to his interior life and really bond with him. And I believe that happens in this novel. And then she learns about some of his plans, what he plans on doing, and she's shocked and dismayed and has to deal with that as well. So I'm sure this is going to be a tearjerker, but if you have read this and you think this should be my first Jojo Moyes, please do let me know. I have two other options for her as well. The other option is this 2010 release that is called The Last Letter from Your Lover. And in this, it is a historical fiction dual timeline. In one timeline, we are back in 1960, and Jennifer has just woken up from an accident, but she has no recollection of what she was doing at the time of the accident. The only thing she knows is that she's holding a letter from a man who is not her husband, and it seems like she was in an illicit affair with him. So the other timeline is in 2003, where we meet a girl named Ellie, and she's a journalist. And it sounds like she has found this letter, and she goes on a journalistic mission to find out if these two folks got together or what happened to them. And she's hoping somewhere along the way that she can learn something that is going to help her in her own love life. So that sounds very intriguing as well. So that might be my first choice. And then this year, I picked this up as an additional title with my Book of the Month box, and this is We All Live Here. This is her 2025 release. And this tells us about a woman who is popular because she has written a novel about basically how to keep your marriage together. And then her husband leaves her, and he is living with another woman and her family. And she's dealing with her two teenage daughters that are both very angry with their father. They are kind of being antisocial, and she's having issues with them there. She has her stepdad who moved into her house after her mother died. And he is a wonderful man, except for he's very rigid to live with. So the family's finding it hard to move around with him in the house. And then he gets really irritated every time he sees her father. And who do you think shows up on the doorstep when he runs out of excuses with his girlfriend and uses up all of his credit and goodwill with the friends he knows? He needs a place to stay. So apparently he's a washed up actor. So these two men do not get along, and here comes dad to move into the house and mix it up even further. So the end of the blurb on here says that when the one person you thought you couldn't stand is the one who maybe brings things all together. I thought that was a really interesting premise. And if you've read this, let me know. It is kind of chunky. I think that's probably why I didn't pick it up when it first showed up at the house, because the premise really does draw me in. But let me know what you think. Should this be my first Jojo Moyes? And again, these are the other two, Me Before You, Me Before You, The Last Letter from Your Lover, or We All Live Here. These are some thick books. So I hope you found this video fun. I would love to get your feedback. One of the things I really love so much about BookTube is the community that we have in the comment section. I know you hear a lot of booktubers say that. It really is so important. It is the reason we all put out content, so we can hear back from you and engage in that all important bookish conversation. So I'll be bringing you part 2 very shortly. I'm looking forward to your feedback here on part 1. And until I see you again, happy reading.